Woohoo! All right. Welcome to the Pinfall podcast. My name is Liz. I am your host.
With the most.
Yes. And I co-host, as always, somewhat constantly. Some might say he's here as much as I am. Mark.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, happy Friday. Happy Smackdown.
Happy Prosecco week.
Is it week?
Yeah, it's from the 20th to the 26th. So we've already missed 4 days of it.
Catch up.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Mimosa a day.
Mimosa a day. So tonight we are talking about Smackdown, unfortunately. And we're also turning our microphones to face us. On top of that, we are introducing a new segment, which is called I Talk About All the Headlines That I Saw While I was scrolling through our Twitter.
While I listen.
There's some stuff that you're going to have more information on because I only know so many things about so many things. Some of it's stuff you told me about. First things first. First absolute thing is first. Let's discuss the fact that Mark hasn't tweeted about what's going live.
Yes, I did.
Shoot.
You don't gotta bring it up during the podcast. Because I got it.
Trying to open up this one article to start, but of course it's going to be difficult. So I want to start with the news tonight because we've got a lot to talk about. First things first, I'm going to bring this up now. It'll come up again later, I guess. But I guess I'll just bring it up now instead of waiting. So Booker T came under fire just recently, I believe, about 2 days ago, perhaps, as reported by Wrestle Talk, as he made a comment that was pretty much misconstrued by everyone, it seemed. There were 2 hashtags going around about Naomi. One of them being Naomi deserves a chance, as in, deserves a shot at, a title, versus the other one, which is Naomi deserves better. And Booker T basically said something along the lines of well, nobody deserves a chance. You go out there and you make your own.
Make your own opportunities.
You make your own path, I guess. Yeah. And he said, the only reason I got to the caliber I was at was because I went out there every night and I, beat the shit out of people. Which, if we're pretending that wrestling is not in some ways fixed, yeah, that makes sense. But he basically said, I don't think that anyone deserves a chance. I think that the hashtag Naomi deserves better is much better hashtag because, she does deserve better. And Naomi then ended up saying that she appreciated the comments from Booker T and didn't see it quite as quite of the insult, I guess, that a lot of people were taking it as. She called it constructive criticism, I guess. So, it happened. And then we are looking right now at Rey Mysterio's contract is about to get... it sounds like they're coming close to figuring out what to do with Rey Mysterio's contract. It sounds like he's about to come back. So that means that you can see, which is good. If that contract did not get renewed, who's to say? But you told me about Cody Rhodes and I think Chris Jericho, right? Talking about this?
This is no big deal. It's not really news or anything. It's just Cody Rhodes and Chris Jericho were talking. They said the greatest wrestler of this generation, and they might have even said all time, was Rey Mysterio, which very high praise, especially comparing to some of the greats like Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, those guys.
Rightfully so. I think that Rey has really stuck it out through a lot of different generations of wrestling to still be around today, doing what he's doing to the caliber that he's doing it. He's still respectable. So
I mean, he's been there since before the WWE Tag Team Championship title was even a thing. Back with Chris Benoit before that tragically fell apart. But so is Edge.
Oh man, there's an easy way for me to segue into a different headline too from this, but I'll do it anyways. There was two. I had two roads. I'm gonna take the one that you've opened up for me.
Two Cody roads,
which is.
I'll
bring
step
up that
out.
bleach-haired man to me. So speaking of Edge has I don't know if Edge specifically, but somebody announced that Edge, unless he suffers a massive setback, Edge will be able to compete in WrestleMania 37. So for him. And it is looking like right now that there's a plan in place, according to Cultaholic, that he might face Randy Orton again.
Of course.
Yes, that's the only man that he's allowed to face. He might face Randy Orton again in an I Quit match. Which, when I think of an I Quit match, all I can think of is and kind of getting his head smashed in by The Rock.
Oh.
So
are we gonna get a copy of that brawl from, what was it? Was that WrestleMania when they fought and it lasted forever?
Oh, the this past WrestleMania where it was like a 40-minute fight, and I was so drunk that I kind of just passed out for most of it.
Because they're not gonna give up. They're gonna go on for like an hour.
Apparently was supposed to take place at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
Andy or Edge's tricep off the bone like a nicely cooked set of spare ribs. So it's not possible now.
Just shows Edge is nicely cooked.
He's tender.
Mm-hmm. Fall off the bone.
Oh yeah, so he's supposed to be facing Orton again to close out this. I would imagine to close out the chapter if it's going to happen at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. And I'm just hoping that one, we're allowed to have crowds again at that point. I think that would like kind of help us get through a 40-minute match like they had last WrestleMania. And two, I hope that it isn't like last WrestleMania.
Yeah.
To put it lightly. So the other road I could have taken after the Rey Mysterio news is it's looking like Brock Lesnar is not going to be back until 2021, if he comes back at all. Right now it's looking like he will probably stay out for the rest of the year, and most of this is because WWE cannot afford him, especially because and I believe I heard this from Wrestling World. I want to make sure that I don't like just steal headlines and roll with them. Wrestling World CC on YouTube. They were talking about Brock Lesnar right now. It looks like he's too high of a price tag for the number of days he wants to work, which isn't many. Mm-hmm. And frankly, I'm not sad about this.
I'm going to leave my feelings of Brock Lesnar out right now. It just makes me wonder what's going to happen with Paul Heyman, because he said he wanted to focus on his in-ring character. What's his character going to be?
Bad timing.
Yeah, what's his character going to be without Brock Lesnar?
Paul Heyman versus MVP. Winner gets Bobby Lashley.
No, Paul Heyman goes with Drew McIntyre, and then it's Drew versus Bobby again with Paul Heyman versus MVP outside of the ring.
In what world? In what world, sir? Do you think Drew McIntyre would be like, yeah, Paul Heyman, sure, come to my corner.
All right, fine. A more current path would be Paul Heyman picks up Apollo Crews.
Maybe. All right. Brock was originally slated to fight Bobby Lashley at some point relatively soon, and most people are talking about the fact that he's usually at SummerSlam. He's not this year. So it looks like the only opportunity he would really have would be to go in that direction. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I really hope that Paul Heyman gets like something.
I mean, he might probably just nix the whole in-ring persona until then and just focus on being his executive job at WWE. I don't know what he does, really.
Yeah, it's not like he's losing money at this point, I'm sure.
It's just losing his fun.
Yeah. Well, if Brock ends up going back to UFC altogether or to AEW, then Heyman loses all his fun.
God, AEW would love to have Brock.
Oh, they would. AEW has like no bars hold on anything. They're just like, sure, Blade, we don't care. Smash someone's head, whatever. Yeah. Sammy Guevara, who is back now, after his horrible. He was the one who made the horrible comments about Sasha Banks, right?
Yes, he said he wanted to rape Sasha Banks. He said it publicly on a podcast.
Which Sasha Banks did forgive him for. However,
they had like a long talk, and she forgave him. He apologized and regretted it and everything.
You know, there was a lot of headlines that came out during the very relatively brief moment that speaking out was happening, as far as like hashtag speaking out. That's one headline that I'm happy stayed away from WWE as far as like the antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
WWE had enough problems as far as certain people who fought Tony Nese tonight getting in trouble as far as that hashtag was concerned. That's a rough one. That
allegedly. Got to throw in one of those.
He did not allegedly fight Tony Nese.
Or did he?
Talk about that.
Was that Tony Nese?
No, it wasn't.
It was Leon Ruff.
It was Leon Ruff and Tony Nese's body. Just to round this out, I'm going to talk about as far as news is related, unless I'm missing something, and you can tell me if I am. But allegedly, Adam Cole had a little bit of a shit fit while being interviewed on Pat McAfee's talk show. Pat McAfee, who is a football player.
Isn't it Pat McAfee?
Sure. I don't know. McAfee's the virus screening software. That counts for something.
That's McAfee.
Not McAfee?
No. Because it's the guy's last name. McAfee. McAfee. McCafe. McDonald's new coffee brand.
But a lot of people are debating whether or not this is kayfabe. I have every reason and right to believe that it is 100% kayfabe.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, like all of was it Pat McAfee? Is that his name? Pat. All of his fans on Twitter, ones who don't watch wrestling, are like irate about this, not understanding what kayfabe is, not understanding that professional wrestling is fake, even though they're normally the ones who will always tell a wrestling fan, "Don't you know wrestling's fake?" And they get enraged about something like this. It's like, we're probably gonna see Pat McAfee at like takeover or something. I would fully expect that.
Adam Cole versus Pat McAfee.
Or Pat McAfee versus Gronk, because they're both football players.
You know what? Fine, let that happen. I'm fine with that. Yeah, it's weird because I saw the video, and I guess even like as a person who, I'm gonna tilt this down a little bit, damn. As someone who's watched enough wrestling, even I saw that and I was like, whoa, Adam Cole coming out here with a fire. But at the same time, like, I'm not gonna pretend that I know any of these people. But when you watch like all of his like streams, and when you watch like how he is on Up Up Down Down, it's hard to imagine that he's somebody who would fly off the handle like that after being called small.
I think the reason we're just shocked about this, or not even really shocked, but like in question, is because his character in the ring hasn't really been that aggressive recently. Especially after like Undisputed Therapy and taking after Roddy and like being the champion, cowering when Karrion Kross when Scarlett brought out the dial, or the what's it called? Hourglass. And when he had the whole honorable moment with Keith Lee, like Adam Cole in ring, I feel like it's not like that anymore. Like super aggressive and violent, and like. For those who didn't watch the video, he literally dropped a few F-bombs on Pat McAfee, smashed a microphone, and then pushed a producer or something. Definitely kayfabe. There's no way you can even question it, because it was such a quick escalation that all this happened.
Yeah, and again, going back to like, I don't know, I kind of judge people by their friends, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, I try to watch some video game streams. I'm not super into a lot of the games that a lot of wrestlers stream, just because I'm easily bored, I guess. I don't really understand Final Fantasy, so I don't really watch like a lot of people streaming that. But he was streaming that recently, and I've watched some of his more recent stuff, and it's hard for me to believe that guy who spends an hour talking to his subscribers and thanking everyone individually and making a point to thank everyone individually for subscribing to his channel, and the guy who's friends with Xavier Woods, who was playing Become Human a couple of years ago. You can tell I'm going back through his Let's Play playlist, and bleeps out every swear word, blurs out every swear word. I can't imagine that Xavier Woods would be friends with someone who would do something like that. I think it was just, I think the reason why it's really kind of like throwing me personally is because, does Pat McAfee have anything to do with NXT?
I mean, him and Adam Cole do have like a little bit of a history outside of, like, because I think he's been on their podcast before, or they've had kayfabe before. That's what I heard on Reddit when I first found this out. This isn't a first time thing with Adam and Pat. It's definitely something that's been worked up, and I guess they're playing the long game or something. Plus, I mean, the whole thing stemmed from Pat saying that Adam got to where he was because of Undisputed Era helping him, and he called him small. And then that just triggered Adam Cole so bad that he smashed a mic, pushed the producer, dropped F-bombs. And then Pat McAfee in the end was like, I didn't say anything. It's so obvious. It's so obvious.
I also want to make a point to say that like the headline that I saw when this first happened, I think yesterday, or when the news broke yesterday, it was like, Adam Cole breaks a microphone, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, shit. And I looked down and I was like, he just knocked the microphone over onto carpet. Didn't break that thing. I know that. I know better than that.
I mean, it might be sensitive.
I don't know. It's weird. It's I've dropped an entire Zoom recorder on a cement floor once. I think it's fine. It wasn't yours.
Oh, okay.
That was someone else's. It was your garage floor, though.
Oh.
Yeah, that was my favorite moment. Anyways, it's a little weird. It was a little jarring to see, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, we haven't really seen that side of Adam Cole. But I'm looking forward to next NXT to maybe find out like if he's vibing.
Yeah.
He hasn't tweeted since today. So
I mean, after that, he's probably, it would be smart of him on a personal level, like not Adam Cole, but whatever his real name is, to stay off of Twitter. Austin Jenkins. It would be great for him to stay off Twitter so that he can avoid the shitstorm from Pat McAfee's fans who are naive.
He did stream earlier today, though, so I will be watching that, and I'm sure, without a doubt, there will be absolutely no mention of this because it's wrestling and there's a thick screen between the two. All right, so let's get into SmackDown tonight.
And I see a fitness trainer and Malama in the chat. Welcome back.
Fitness trainer, aka Mike. Right. I'm gonna open up my Twitter now and make sure that I'm not doing that wrong. So good with names. I'm so good with names.
Let's give his podcast a quick shout out while we're here.
Yes. You want me to?
Yeah, you have your phone open.
Okay. Jesus. My phone open, but Twitter runs so slow on my phone. I'm gonna do it. All right. If you're wondering, Mike, who has been lovely in our chat and a lovely friend to the podcast, also has his own podcast called, tell me if I'm doing this wrong. I'm looking at your Twitter, so if I'm doing this wrong. Called the Basketball Teacher Podcast. And we really appreciate having Mike in our chat. If you're interested in any of that, or you want to give him a little watchy poo, a little watch, check out the Basketball Teacher Podcast. Have we tweeted about his podcast?
I don't think so, but we will after.
We will do that tonight. We're so on top of things. But yeah, please check him out, some of you, because, yeah. I'm bad at this, but we really appreciate having active members in the chat, and we would love to be able to share that activity to his podcast as well. Because in this industry, you need to help each other out.
You're doing great.
This is why I have notes. I don't know how to talk.
All right, moving into SmackDown.
Anywho, so we start tonight with Jeff Hardy talking into a camera, and then Sheamus talking into a camera, then for some reason,
it was like
isn't JBL talking into a camera?
Oh, that was weird. Yeah. But it was like they were trying to do the thing they did last week, where they had like kind of the preview, like the promo of everybody kind of foreshadowing all the events going on. You didn't have that this time. Like they just did that with a Jeff Hardy Sheamus fight, as opposed to doing it with everything.
Do you ever get the vibe that SmackDown doesn't know what's happening right now, like what they're doing? I'm starting to get that vibe a little bit.
I'm.
A lot of people liked the intro last week, so I feel like they were just like, we sort of did it again. More time.
I mean, I wish they'd done like the full thing, because it would have been nice to get a little bit of a head start into that Fatal 4-Way we got, or the Matt Riddle Tony Nese fight. But
I'm changing the font of my notes so I can see it without my glasses on. I don't know. I kind of like there to be some surprises I feel like that's not something like that intro is not something they can do every night.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I liked it tonight, but I think it felt just like they were just doing it because last week it was really, a lot of people really liked it. They thought it was a really interesting way to like start the episode. It didn't feel like they were doing it because they were like, yeah, you know, we personally really enjoyed this. I really wouldn't have even like cared or thought about it if JBL was not involved.
Yeah. For those who don't know, JBL is allegedly a piece of shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories about him.
No Sonya again. Yeah, no Sonya. Don't know why. No Mandy either. But who knows? There are a lot of people.
We will be getting Mandy next week.
Mm-hmm.
Sonya, however, gone. I don't know where she is, and I miss her. I'm very upset about it. I love Sonya Deville so much.
I mean, this might suck for SmackDown women, but maybe she's going to Raw along with Dolph.
Oh, I doubt it. They've got so few women that they're using in SmackDown as it is. I don't think that they would. I mean, to be fair, Dolph went to Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Riddle went to NXT. Matt Riddle went to SmackDown.
Well,
so it was sort of like a displacement thing.
No, because
I don't see.
They said Dolph was going to Raw so that they could bring AJ Styles to SmackDown. That was supposedly the trade they were making. AJ Styles hasn't been on SmackDown for that long. I know it seems like it's been forever, but that's what they said on the show.
I'm not going to contest it because if I open up any other tab on my computer, it will explode probably. However, I feel like that's not right. I feel like Dolph went to...
It's literally what they said.
Is it?
They probably needed to wrap up Dolph's story before bringing him over.
Alright.
But fitness trainer said Sonya greater than Naomi. I will argue against that because they're two completely different wrestlers with two different gimmicks. I don't think it's fair to compare the two at all.
Who are we comparing?
Sonya is greater than Naomi.
I mean, it's right now I feel like it's hard to compare only because it's been a minute since we've seen Sonya. I guess I wasn't super impressed by Sonya's most recent showing when she fought Lacey.
She fought Lacey because she tweeted that blondes don't know how to fight.
Yeah.
It was really dumb. And yes, I just found a source that confirms that AJ Styles was a trade.
Damn, I don't know how I missed that. I don't know. I feel like at the end of the day, I feel like there's so few women that are doing well in SmackDown right now that I constantly just like, as long as someone like has a good motivation, I don't even care anymore.
You want all of them to succeed at this point?
I'm so broken by SmackDown's women's writing that I'm like, give me a good reason for you guys to be fighting. I don't want it to be about men. I don't want it to be about karaoke. I asked for very little. I didn't even know I would have to ask for it to not be about karaoke, honestly, going into this.
Mm-hmm. I think we can all agree, though, that Dana Brooke kind of sucks, though. I'm not a fan of Dana Brooke at all.
The problem is it's like, I want to say, oh yeah, this person sucks, or this person sucks, or this person sucks. But they've all been written so horribly.
Right, yeah. At the end of the day, it's the writers.
The only people who have been written well in SmackDown thus far are Bayley and Sasha, and Alexa and Nikki.
Cesaro and Shinsuke.
That's it. I meant women.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And men, I don't care about the men right now. They're all written fine. It's whatever. You guys fight each other. It's fine. I don't want to see hair pulling in a women's wrestling match. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see some man's fantasized image of a cat fight in the wrestling ring. I want to see the same men's fighting, but with women.
That's very fair.
Anyways.
I mean, that's not how Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair fought. They fought very much like fighters.
I miss them. I miss them so much.
I
feel like that one vine of like the guy looking at the Billy Ray Cyrus portrait and he's like, I miss him so much. Okay. So we had the weird Jeff Hardy Sheamus JBL intro. I don't know why. And then we had Sasha and Bayley. They came out. They do what they always do. Made me question why Sasha still has the belt. Made you question why Sasha still has the belt. When we know that Stephanie herself said, it's not yours technically. Bayley says that they are bringing in a new era of greatness. Just in time for Nikki Cross to come out with Alexa. And Nikki's mad. Nikki's apoplectic at this point. She says that she wants the title. She deserves the title. They cheated. There is no reason for them to have anything that they gained after Extreme Rules. So Bayley says she will fight Nikki if Nikki can beat Alexa. Match. I almost lost it. I almost lost it in that moment because Nikki's like, all right, fine, and pushes Alexa, and I was like, if I see the downfall of the Alexa Bliss Nikki Cross friendship before I see the downfall of the Sasha Banks Bayley friendship,
I want this feud to end. The Bayley and Nikki Cross feud, it's gotten so boring by now. We've gotten the same fights over and over and over.
What could happen if this ended? Bayley Sasha Banks feud. If they just ended that friendship, and I know they're probably waiting till SummerSlam. I know I've heard it 500,000 times, but I refuse to believe it every single time because I just want this to be over. I want it to be over so badly.
I mean,
so badly.
Fitness Trainer made a good point that because of the lack of women's tag teams, we probably wouldn't get either tag team breaking up. Just because they'd be losing, like, one of the few tag teams that they have. I don't want Nikki and Alexa going as Bayley and Sasha for the 50,000th time.
No, Mike makes a good point. It is also something that we complain about too a lot, is that there isn't that many women's tag teams right now, especially in SmackDown. And really, after Kyrie leaves, not even in Raw.
Mm-hmm. Raw has Iconics, Ruby, and Liv.
Well, Ruby and Liv are not friends yet, and Bianca and Bianca's only fighting with Ruby for the meantime because Iconics keep attacking Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
However, just gonna make a little prediction here. Bet you money to.
What?
I don't remember I don't know. I was trying to think of the phrase. I bet you that Monday we are going to see Liv again.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. It's about time.
That Ruby won. That's not the point. That's not what this podcast is about. I wish it was. No, but that is a good point, that there really is not enough tag teams. However, it does bring up the point. It does bring up a very good point. As we saw tonight. Apparently you can bring up anyone from NXT that you want. Anyone. It doesn't matter apparently anymore. So my point was saying that is that smack two people together. Smack two people together. I don't care. Put two people together. Make a new tag team. I don't care anymore. I don't care if it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't have to. I just need something else. I need the writers to kind of dig deep, dig their heels in a little bit, just make something. Make anything. Make something that doesn't make me want to like gouge my own eyes out half the time, because I understand that Bailey and Sasha probably won't break up until they're able to break up. But I can only handle watching Bailey and Sasha versus Alexa and Nikki in whatever context it is. And I think that there's only so much longer that any fan can stand watching that too.
Mm-hmm.
Unless something major happens. And I'm sure that there is something that they could do to make this more worth our time and worth our attention, because they've been doing that over on Raw with Seth and Buddy and Ray and Alistair and Umberto. They've been doing this over on Raw. Problems. I'm sure there's something they can do. I just don't think they're doing it, and it's driving me insane. However, it hurt me on the inside to watch them sacrifice Alexa and Nikki first. That hurt. They're like good friends. It seemed so nice. It was so supportive, especially after Extreme Rules. And then I had to watch Nikki push Alexa. Like,
it also doesn't make sense, and we're gonna get into the fight very soon. It doesn't make sense why they even fought in the first place, because the challenge was open to Nikki for the title. The title was never open to Alexa. Alexa could have just laid in the ring and let Nikki win. Like, there's no reason for Alexa to fight back.
My understanding was basically, I thought going into it, I thought that the stipulation was the winner gets to fight Bailey.
Yeah.
So that was the stipulation. So one way or the other, whether that was or wasn't what it was, it never seemed like that was Alexa's plan to go after that title. That was it never seemed like that was Alexa's thing, at least in this moment. Not to say that that's not something like every woman wrestler would want in the WWE, and especially at that caliber. But that was not ever in Alexa's writing.
Mm-hmm.
So for her to be like, all right, fine, I'll also fight you because you pushed me for something that I know you would go through heaven and hell to get. Like, it doesn't make sense that she would be like, oh, well, you pushed me, so that's why we're going to fight now. Like,
yeah.
Just lay down in the ring. You never wanted this title, or you didn't want this title going into this. Just lay down. Doesn't matter. But that brings us to the Alexa and Nikki fight. And it was a weird fight to me. It didn't feel like anybody knew what they were doing in the ring tonight.
I mean, I thought it was a decent fight. I think we saw a better Alexa than we have recently. I thought Nikki wasn't as good as she was at Extreme Rules, but she was still good. She landed some sick moves. We saw a really cool Hurricane from Alexa.
Was that it? Or was it...
I was going based on what you said.
I'm not sure if it was just like a head scissors kind of thing, because I've...
No, it definitely wasn't.
Again, I've been doing my research on wrestling moves, because I need to know what the names are before I go into this podcast. I've just, honestly, my whole wrestling watching career has been me just being like, that was crazy. Shit. So now I'm trying to actually like learn what things are. It looked just kind of like a head scissors minus the flying part.
No.
I don't know exactly what it was.
It definitely wasn't a flying head scissors, because Alexa like slid down Nikki's back.
Well, I said minus the flying part.
It wasn't a head scissors, because Alexa didn't wrap her legs around Nikki's head. But it was cool, regardless. I think everyone had some really cool moves today.
Yeah. So we got also a very intense Nikki that I don't think we've seen too often. We're starting to see it more over the past couple of episodes, I guess. But there were some things that really connected and really made sense for the moment, and then there were some things that just like seemed like you were just like kind of walking up to her to slap her while she watched you.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki got a nice arm drag on Alexa, and an impressive little bulldog. And at one point, my heart got warmed as Bailey and Sasha were goading Alexa and Nikki, point where they both were like, you know what, this is annoying. And they used teamwork, knocked them over. And I was like, friendship, yay! However, then we were back in the ring. Alexa just absolutely wrenched Nikki's arm, and targeted Nikki's injured ribs. We got Nikki went for a sweet little superplex, but Bliss broke her down from the ring, and eventually, luckily, thank God, Nikki managed to pin Alexa Bliss and win. At the same time, Bayley said that she and Michael Cole should have a fight at SummerSlam, and I'm so behind that.
Mm-hmm.
I would back that 100%. But Nikki won, so now Nikki is going to face Bayley next week, or I'm gonna say this now. It would be interesting to see if Sasha loses the title to Asuka, and then Bayley loses her other title to Nikki.
I think it would be a really interesting story if Bayley won against Nikki, keeping her title, and Sasha lost against Asuka. Because Sasha's whole thing was she wanted to have a title too, along with the tag team title.
Second title. Oh yeah.
So maybe she'll want to challenge Bayley, and that's how we kind of see the start of little tension there. I just wonder what would happen with the tag team title.
I'm not sure actually, but that does make a good point, especially because there were some comments made that like, oh well, maybe Sasha needed Bayley to win that match.
Well,
so if Bayley got involved next Monday,
mm-hmm.
and either if when the match happens next Monday, either Bayley get involved in DQ, because if Bayley gets involved, it's an immediate disqualification.
Yeah.
And that could annoy Sasha. Bayley doesn't get involved and she loses, thus making Sasha be like, do I actually need her? Like, do I really? I think I might actually need her to like get anywhere in my career. Like, sow those little seeds of insecurity.
Yeah. You actually addressed exactly what I was gonna say. Fitness trainer says Bayley wins with help from Sasha, but Sasha loses because Bayley failed to help her. Don't know when that would happen. It happened on Monday because that's a stipulation Stephanie McMahon mentioned. Bayley.
Like we're all on the same page here.
Yeah, Bayley cannot interfere with the fight in any way. Otherwise, Sasha will DQ and lose the title.
And I think that would be a very interesting little. I think that could be fun. That could be fun. If they do that, I'll be happy. I'll feel satisfied at least for like a couple of weeks. I'm not asking for like one episode they break up immediately right off the bat. All I'm looking for the same thing that we had a couple weeks ago, where like Bayley and Sasha were doing tag team stuff, and like Bayley like would pull Sasha off of someone while she was pinning her, be like, "No, you can't do it that way. You got to do it this way." Sasha would just be there like, "I'm just looking for that. That's all I want at this point."
Yeah.
So after that match, we went to commercial. We came back. I was mad at Alexa Bliss at that point. I was very unhappy. I was simply displeased. Then Alexa handed Nikki a water and said that, they got to prepare now for next week and all that stuff, and congratulated her on kind of getting one up on her. And then they were best friends again. I was like, oh, okay. I don't want to see them break up. I really don't. I really like them together. They're such nice people. But again, back to Mike's point earlier, I think not only are they like the only tag team, but also you got one heel tag team, you got one face tag team. What do you expect?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Then we went into Firefly Funhouse, and guess what? We didn't get a single explanation as to why Alexa Bliss was Sister Abigail. We didn't. I don't know what's happening anymore. I don't know what's happening. Guess I'm lost. Guess we learned that tonight.
Bray's normal. Fiends unleashed.
We had a weird headlamp that had Braun's soul trapped in it. Which I assume is where John Cena's soul is as well.
It's actually been there before, because I remembered seeing it at some point in another Firefly Funhouse. So maybe that is where the souls are trapped, or it's just a little guiding voice for Bray, because he did say he doesn't need it anymore. But I don't know. I don't know whose head that is.
Looked like it was supposed to be a weird mock-up of Bray's in a weird way. It had the dreads and like the beard, but even then it was like it didn't make that much sense.
I was kind of thinking Kane's head. I don't know, shot in the dark. Because Kane is...
I not know what like
Kane's one of the marked out faces. He doesn't have like the dreads, but Bray could have done that.
That's what made me think it was Bray, was that like he had the dreads and jazz.
I don't know.
And I don't know. I was really hoping for like a little more explanation as to, again, why Alexa Bliss was Sister Abigail. Yes, I'm just supposed to accept the fact that maybe it was like a weird to convince Braun to like kind of walk closer.
Yeah.
So that Bray could attack him.
Yeah, because there was like a cloud of fog that Sister Abigail lured Braun closer to. And Bray popped out of that fog.
Yeah. But you see, it still digs up new questions, because it's like, okay, why are we bringing up Braun and Alexa Bliss when that's something that happened a while ago now?
Because Smackdown has no other material.
Like, this was a good episode. Let's just use this.
Why do you think they played the Boneyard match again? Played the Money in the Bank fight between Bray and Braun again? It's because they have nothing else.
It feels like it was yesterday, and I know for a fact it was like a couple weeks ago now.
Yeah.
What is a week in quarantine? It's nothing. So after the relatively useless Firefly Funhouse, which I don't like to call it useless because I love Bray Wyatt, but after that, we had Matt Riddle versus Nice. A lot of questions to start this match, because last we saw Tony Nese. He was on NXT fighting Bronson Reed. Because prior to that, I guess he had a dark match, it seemed. We couldn't decide on whether it was a 205 Live or a dark match.
Yeah.
But Leon Ruff, and for some reason Bronson Reed took offense to this, decided to fight Tony Nese at the Great American Bash. That was the last time we saw him, and we were really impressed because Tony Nese actually kind of got a couple good hits in on Bronson when we really didn't expect to see that happen. For whatever reason, I went into this fight thinking it was Matt Riddle versus King Corbin because, last week King Corbin assaulted Matt Riddle. Rightfully so. But so Tony Nese had one good move. He jumped off the ropes, jumped off the top rope to slam Matt Riddle. And then Matt Riddle had him in a wheelbarrow position. Tony Nese kind of boxed his ears in with his knees, trying to escape. Successful. But then he got suplexed. And he just... It was like a 5-second match. After Matt Riddle did his bro Derek move, Tony Nese was absolutely down for the count. Tony Nese, who fought a man who was probably like 3 times his size?
Roughly, yeah.
Like 3 weeks ago, I think. This wasn't the same Tony Nese. Apparently, I think this is like his evil twin that somehow can't fight Matt Riddle. And I don't know if like maybe this match was written for like people who don't watch every single WWE product, but I don't think I'm very special in the fact that we watch all 3 of them.
It very much seemed like an enhancement fight, but like a pseudo enhancement fight because Tony Nese actually put Matt Riddle in like a fight. Or maybe this was just a sneaky little transition to Raw or to Smackdown for Tony Nese.
I wouldn't get that carried away with the ideas.
I mean, Akira Tozawa kind of sneakily transferred to Raw.
I guess that's sort of fair, yeah. I don't know. All I know is that I was saying previously, I don't think that we're very special in the fact that we watch all 3 products. Or not all 3 products, but the 3 main WWE products. I don't think we're very special in that. So it felt weird to watch this match and be like, was I supposed to forget what happened at NXT? I haven't. I forget a lot of things. I forget everything almost every day. I'm kind of like a dog. But I didn't forget that match.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how I'm supposed to be convinced that, oh, Tony Nese couldn't fight Matt Riddle when he fought, like, whatever size Bronson Reed is. And I kind of started to see with enhancement talent, like, a little pattern where it's like, the opponent gets a couple good hits in, and then the enhancement talent gets, like, one nice hit in, and then it's out. And that's kind of what happened tonight. And after that, Riddle gets a mic, calling out King Corbin, and Corbin comes out with no interest in fighting Matt Riddle. Calls him a frat boy without shoes who just rolled out of bed. And decides that he's going to put a king's ransom on Matt Riddle. And I don't know what that means.
What I see it meaning is there's going to be a lot of wrestlers going after Matt Riddle. It's a good way to give him more opponents. A good way for Corbin to do something and make him seem like the big boss. But this might be like my new favorite SmackDown storyline we're going into. Because it seems like a really cool idea. And it'll give a lot of wrestlers who are like not in a good spot right now, like Corbin. Corbin has won 1 match since April. And he needs a win. A lot of these guys need a win. So, but the fact that he put out a King's Ransom and whoever's going to be like the one to beat him will be like awarded like a lot of money, I guess. It means Matt Riddle's going to win a lot. He's going to be winning a lot of his matches.
So, one thing I kind of... Because 9 times out of 10, if like one person challenges another person in any between SmackDown or Raw, right after a pay-per-view, I'm always like, what's gonna happen at the next pay-per-view? So I'm getting like a little maybe a little hint that maybe we'll see King Corbin versus Matt Riddle at SummerSlam.
I hope so,
Probably
because
not.
I want to see like I want to see the Corbin that end of Dazed Becky Lynch. I want to see that Corbin again. I want to see
the Corbin the end of days Matt Riddle the other
yeah.
the other night.
I want OG King Corbin back. Not OG bald Corbin. I want back. I don't want hair Corbin. I want like the Corbin that actually like could put up a fight.
Baron Corbin, please. I know. I think King Corbin deserves a win. And like a sanctioned win, if you will, not one where he comes in after AJ Styles shakes someone's hand. I don't know if anyone can tell. We aren't the biggest Matt Riddle fans in the world. However, this is the King Corbin podcast on Fridays, so
yeah,
that's our main goal.
Not the Bray Wyatt podcast.
Tonight.
Fair.
It didn't do much for me tonight. So yeah, I still have problems with this match. I don't know why Tony Nese was used as enhancement talent when we all know Tony Nese is not enhancement talent. And commentators didn't do him any justice either, by the way, by saying like he's a good wrestler. They made comments about how like he's like successful.
Yeah. Like he's successful on 205 Live.
Yeah. I just have problems with it. I have problems with it. Also, the fact that like Matt Riddle's performing in front of a bunch of people that like know him from NXT, so like everyone's obviously on Matt Riddle's side. But I don't like him. I haven't disliked a face before. This is the face I've chosen to dislike.
Wait,
because I don't think that he's
whose face?
I'm saying that like I haven't really disliked a face before.
Uh-huh.
And I assume Matt Riddle's going to be a face, and I don't like him.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, no, he's gonna be the...
By face, I mean the term.
He's gonna be the poor victim under King Corbin's bounty.
I just want Corbin to win. I just want him to have one win. Just one.
Yeah.
It's for very little.
A win against
so
a meaningful opponent, not enhancement talent.
Yeah, no. I want it to be a fight.
Yeah.
I want it to be a fight that Corbin wins.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have such a weakness for heels. I don't know why.
It's because heels are always the more charismatic and like more outlandish characters. The faces are always like the more humanly, the more average characters, because it's people we can relate to. That's why like the Miz and Morrison are heels. Dexter Lumis is a heel.
I just like a sucker. Is that what it is?
I guess.
I gotta feel like one.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like, I love Dexter Lumis, and I love Timothy Thatcher, and I love King Corbin. I just want them to be happy. So then we had Miz and Morrison backstage right before the commercial break. And John Morrison is still alive. Thank God. Yeah. He did not look alive last week.
Somehow.
But he's still alive, and he was trying to brainstorm hashtags for himself. One of which Karrion Kross used, and it is a long hashtag, so I don't even remember what it was, but I know it has the word indubitably. And
instead of having hashtags, it spells out hashtag.
Both times!
Yeah.
So then we get back to Miz TV, which was announced earlier, I think I saw it today. That was announced. We had Miz TV featuring Naomi. The Miz makes fun of John Morrison's wardrobe, which was very mean of him. And then they make fun of Seth Rollins puking.
That was so good. Oh my god.
I felt like we were kind of getting the dirt sheet mixed with Miz TV, and I'm glad because we haven't had the dirt sheet in so long.
I know.
That's what it felt like tonight.
Hashtag bring back dirt sheet.
Let's start that hashtag.
Yeah.
I'd love that. So then they introduce Naomi and start dancing to her song, like it's a little nightclub. And I appreciated that at least Naomi was kind of like after the whole karaoke thing, especially because I think she was one of the only ones that was like, "Hey, this may not have been the best choice."
Yeah.
I'm glad that she's kind of getting her moment to be like, "I am a good wrestler. Like I am a wrestler. Don't forget that."
Mm-hmm.
Miz and Morrison made fun of her losing at the Royal Rumble, but Naomi ultimately said that every time she's out there in the ring, she gives her all, she does her best, and she puts her entire heart and soul into things, and that's why the fans are backing her so much to have more of a shot at literally anything in SmackDown, or more of a chance, whether Booker T likes to say that or not, but more of a chance to achieve something.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, when you look at it out of look at her words out of context of Miz and Morrison kind of taking the piss out of her. It was a really nice interview, I guess. At least on her side, she made a lot of really nice points, and she sounded very genuine.
Yeah,
which I liked.
And sorry, I was gonna say that having Naomi kind of being in the spotlight like this brings a lot of life to the women's side of SmackDown. Aside from Bayley, Sasha, Alexa, and Nikki, it brings us a light to singles women's SmackDown. That after karaoke, they really needed.
Yeah, especially we don't get to see the women's singles like, ever in SmackDown.
Yeah,
and also kind of not as rarely, but sort of it's getting more rare in Raw too.
Milan basically said they're developing her and Lacey, but Lacey's character needs more work, which you mentioned this while we were watching. Having Naomi as a black character as she is, and having Lacey, who has done stuff with the Forgotten Sons, and her whole thing is like the military woman, because she's also on Military Makeover, and I think she co-hosts that show. And she's for the troops and everything. It just seems very off color right now.
Yeah. I definitely believe that Lacey's character needs a lot more work, especially because there's a way to do a person as a caricature in some ways. Which Lacey Evans is 100% a caricature.
Oh yeah.
Of Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of fans nowadays aren't asking for that per se. I think a lot of fans are asking for more complexity, because if you look at Lacey Evans versus, not to bring up the same person I always bring up, but Drew McIntyre, you got like one color, and then you've got like 14 shades over here. It's like there needs to be more developed behind her before she can really go out. And I think the problem is also that like they rested on their laurels for a little bit going into this no crowds, nothing going on arena, so to speak. I don't think that they've done enough for the characters that are individuals. Like, I haven't seen Carmella in a while, and I don't know why we haven't seen Carmella in a while.
Yeah,
we haven't.
Weird.
I know she's part of Blue Brand, but we haven't seen Carmella. We have obviously seen Dana, Tamina, Lacey, and Naomi recently, but Tamina doesn't have that much going on behind her. Dana has nothing going on behind her. Lacey has nothing going on behind her, except for her shtick. At least has like some history, something like going for her at this point, and her proven history at Roman Rumble, at Royal Rumble. I don't know why I was thinking Roman Reigns there, but she's got that proven history going for her, and I think that it's just
I lost your webcam.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Aww.
It's all
Keep
green.
talking. Ooh. Hmm. Turn back on. Oh.
It's loading it. Oh, there you are. Okay, we're good. We're good.
Hey. But I was gonna say that I just think that I think that they became a victim of their own writing at this point. As far as SmackDown's concerned, because Raw isn't having the same problems. But I think they became a victim of their own writing because none of the singles characters have any real depth, and there's nothing to build a story off of. There's nothing to build like a history arc at this point. And the ones that like did have anything going on behind them aren't around right now.
Yeah.
I was like,
At least with Raw, we get Shayna Baszler back, which I know you don't like Shayna Baszler, but she adds a lot to the storylines.
Yes. Yes. As much as they can't stand her, give her that. She's got something. She's got something. But yeah, also it's just because so first of all, I'm gonna avoid being political. I really avoid being political. It's hard for me.
Where's
Bite my tongue in half.
This isn't a beer, but
I don't have a beer. It's a beer glass.
yeah.
So Miz called Naomi confrontational, and that made me feel like a little like, oh,
That's just the Miz being a heel and being an ass.
It is, but it's just the choice of words was more so. I know that he was there to like, kind of like
Just
push
egg
her
her
into that
on.
corner of like fighting Lacey. Yeah. But the choice of words was, I was like, oh no. But the fight between Lacey as like this all-American girl versus Naomi felt so much like Forgotten Sons versus when they were fighting with Miz Morrison versus New Day and Lucha House Party. I was like, are we doing this again, really? Are we really trying this one out again? Can we stop?
Yeah, especially since you can kind of just narrow this down to like traditional American values in Lacey and African American youth in Naomi. The conflict between the two. But I feel like we're dragging a little too much on this subject. There is a couple big fights we do need to get to.
There's so many things to say.
I know.
Yeah, it's just weird, and I just want to see a fight between two women that doesn't feel like a cat fight.
Yeah.
Because this one was egged down by men, essentially, at this point. That's all I gotta say about that.
But that's why
I just want to.
That's why we love Bailey and Sasha so much, because they don't cat fight.
They're such good friends. I realized that if I were in wrestling and if I were a heel, like, as much as like Bailey annoyed me for the longest time, I'd probably be Bailey.
Yeah.
It would almost definitely be Bailey. So after the Miz TV, we had Kofi and Big E backstage, and I had my heart broken for a second time tonight. Because apparently, after being slammed through 2 tables, Kofi is out for 6 weeks. AKA, Kofi is taking 6 weeks off.
Yeah, he gets a nice
for
vacation.
the guise of having broken 7 ribs.
Like, on one hand, because, okay, I am thinking positively here. We get Big E in singles against newer opponents besides Cesaro and Shinsuke. Maybe he'll go after the Intercontinental title. And B, Kofi gets some time off. The dude needs it. He puts in so much work.
So, yeah. So Kofi is out for 6 weeks, and we're gonna pretend that he's injured. But he comes back out, and he's like, Big E with the news. He's like, oh man, that sucks. Okay, shit. And then Kofi's like, you've been putting yourself like ahead of us, or you've been putting us ahead of yourself for so long, and like, really been like sacrificing everything that you've wanted to do for the sake of the tag team, and now it's your chance to like shine. It was the only thing I heard as Kofi's like saying all these wonderful, wonderful things, and Big E's protesting against them. I'm like, all I'm hearing is, I go 6 weeks without the New Day, 6 whole weeks without the New Day.
Or if they want to surprise everyone and bring like the tag team New Day back, they just have Xavier come in and fight alongside Big E.
You say that like Xavier's like super healthy now, and like his body's perfect.
I mean, it's past the time frame where they said he would be able to wrestle again.
True. It's 6 months to a year.
And how long has it been now?
It's been over 6 months, but it hasn't been a year. I think he got injured October 2019.
Okay.
But the thing that like kind of confuses me is that I'm not sure if he wants to come back still, and I've been going back and forth with this in my head. But the fact that he was interviewed and on the bump, he got interviewed and they were like, "Hey, can you give us like literally any information about your injury? Like, how are you doing? Like, when are you gonna be back?" And he said, "Doing really well. I'm progressing every day, but I can't tell you when I'll be back yet." I'm like, my insecure ass over here is just like, so you mean you're never coming back? That's what you mean, and I know it. So I don't know, man. I think that this is Big E's singles push. I think that that's what this is. I don't think that Xavier's coming back for this purpose. I think that this is Big E taking his moment in the sunlight, and it breaks my heart because I don't want the New Day to be gone. However, this does open an opportunity. No, it doesn't. Does it? Go on.
They're not going to be gone. It's just 6 weeks, and Big E's still going to have the intro and everything, because he's the one who does the shouting. And imagine him against some like awesome opponents that aren't just Cesaro and Shinsuke week after week. Like, imagine him against like Drew Gulak or Daniel Bryan. For some reason.
I wouldn't mind seeing. I was gonna say that's actually kind of random. At first I was gonna say like, oh well, maybe he could fight maybe he could go after, maybe he could fight Lindsay Dorado after what happened tonight,
or Corbin.
I don't know. I feel like we're like so out of depth with like Big E being alone. I don't even know who he would go after at this point.
I mean, I'm just excited to see him do singles. I really am. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he can do it.
The same way that I'm hoping that like once all is said and done, I'll have a job when this pandemic is over. I'm hoping that in 6 months to maybe 3 months. I'll give it 3 months. What month is it? Yeah, 3 months. In 6 weeks and 3 months from now, I just hope that I'm seeing the full New Day back together. That's all I want to see. That's all I can ask for. So after that, we had the most random. I think we got all night. AJ Styles was joining Corey and Michael for commentary because we had Grand Metalik from Lucha, Lindsay Dorado, Drew Gulak, and Shorty G. A fatal four-way to see who would challenge AJ Styles next for his title. Now, Mark and I both assumed Drew wasn't going to win because we've been there. We've done that.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work. And also, Drew Gulak looked horrible tonight.
Oh yeah.
He looked really bad. And it sucks because when he was first put in a position to challenge AJ Styles for the belt, it there were a couple articles saying like, oh, Drew Gulak like is getting this push to like the title, and it's like exciting for him. Like this is his biggest push in history, or like in his history rather. It seems like the WWE is like trusting him a little more to like go forward and become like, maybe like a full blown superstar. And after those articles came out, he got pitifully beaten by AJ Styles, and tonight he got pitifully beaten by 3 different men.
Yeah, but it was really nice to see Lucha House Party kind of do something other than just tag team stuff. They're actually going for a title.
No one is safe from the WWE SmackDown writers' full-blown decision to pull apart literally any tag team.
Oh yeah.
If you're a tag team and you're not Cesaro and Shinsuke or Bayley and Sasha, good luck. Good luck, honey.
But it was really nice to see Shorty G do really well today. He did awesome.
I think we both thought that he was going to win.
Yeah, but Grand Metalik actually... I was rooting for him at first because he was looking awesome, but then Shorty G came out and was like looking even better. So it was definitely like between the two of them, plus Lince Dorado's like massive dive onto Drew and Shorty that really wanted I really wanted anybody but Drew to win that.
I just want Drew to be able to like fight like a normal wrestler might, as opposed to just constantly being in like this like weird title battle between different people for the same thing constantly.
Yeah.
I just want to see him be like a regular wrestler.
And
considering
we need Daniel Bryan to be back before he can be a real wrestler again. I know.
I'll say that happened, but yeah. We all miss him. I made that comment about Daniel Bryan, who believes that like your house should be something you can eat. Or what was that? Like I don't know what that was, but like Corey Graves was playing into AJ Styles' distaste for Daniel. Because Mark, as you might know, the Earth, the sphere.
I shut your mic off for that. I muted you. No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. You really hurt by that. Wow. So much power working through the Twitch.
Yeah.
The Twitch machine.
I have all the power.
This is the trade-off for being the host. The hostess with the mostest. So at first Lucha was working together to fight Drew, because I think they immediately bumped Shorty out of the ring, if I'm remembering correctly. I didn't take a note on it, so I don't remember. But they were working together to fight Drew, and once they got Drew out of the ring, they realized, oh, it's a fatal four-way, and we're 2 men left in the ring, and it's got to be us against each other. So they fight for a bit. Drew finally got up and took Lince Dorado's legs out from under him, as Grand Metalik pushed him into the ropes. And he slammed him onto the ground outside the ring, and that was pretty much all Drew did tonight. Grand Metalik did a set of head scissors on Drew and threw him out of the ring, and he bounced. I've never seen a man bounce before. But Drew Gulak bounced. He bounced off the floor.
It looked so painful.
And Shorty G looked really great. He got a sick German suplex. He did a lovely little arm drag. My 2 favorite moves, basically in a row. And it was an interesting fight. I'm glad that we really didn't have to see Lucha break up per se, or like kind of go against each other, aside from when Lince had the pin and Metalik broke it up.
Yeah.
But it all just broke loose towards the end. Lince Dorado comes out of absolutely nowhere
Oh
Like a
god.
cat. Like there's so many times where my a lot of people in my family have cats, and there are a lot of times where I'm just like minding my business, all of a sudden there's just cat in my face. I'm like, okay, sure, this is fine. That's what it felt like. Lince Dorado also moonsaulted twice onto Shorty G. Just like repetition. Moonsaulted, back up to the rope, second rope. Moonsaulted. Finally went up to the third rope, and Drew Gulak stops him. Then Shorty G gets in there, and he's like, he tosses Drew Gulak from the ring, and now it is just him and Lince. He throws Lince from the ring, but then Malik is on the ropes out of nowhere, which is really just the Lucha House Party tagline, I think. Yeah. Just out of nowhere.
On the ropes out of nowhere.
On the ropes out of nowhere. And Metalik jumps down, elbow drop right into Shorty G's chest. Shorty G is dead. Metalik gets the pin, wins, and Say is fine with him winning. We're all good. AJ goes up and he's like, shake my hand. Just shake my hand. And finally, after hesitating for like 5 minutes, Metalik's like, yeah, sure, okay, I'll shake your hand. And he just slaps him and is like, don't trust anybody. And I was like,
meanwhile,
are you the father from Talladega Nights?
Meanwhile,
Siri, I'm not talking to you, honey.
AJ, like, during the fight, seems like he has no idea what he's talking about. He seems like he's completely clueless on wrestling. And, like, he seems just like he's pretending to be a champ. Like, I want him to be mentored by Daniel Bryan. I feel like that's a storyline that's gotta happen. Like, Champ Rules 101.
It's funny because, again, I've been watching a lot of Xavier Woods' Up, Down, Down channel, and I watched a Madden tournament between him, Corbin, Kofi, and Seth. And at that time, I was watching, and I was like, he doesn't really sound confident about anything he's saying. I was like, well, maybe he's just nervous, doing talking while playing a video game, I think is really difficult. I wouldn't know. I don't play video games, but I don't have any hand-eye coordination. But I was like, oh, well, maybe that's just why. Like, no big deal. Then I've seen him in a couple other videos, and I was like, he really doesn't sound like he knows what he's doing there either. I was like, well, maybe it's because he knows people are like recording it, so maybe it's like a little weird for him. He doesn't know how to talk. And then he came on tonight, and I was like, if there's anything that AJ Styles is actually confident speaking about at this point, besides the Earth being flat, I think that's all he's confident with.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
And Daniel Bryan's feet being flat.
Exactly. It's flatness. AJ Styles is your man. You want to talk about something that's flat? Go to him.
Well, no, he didn't even speak confidently about the Earth being flat because he said, "I just, those people they have a point.
They make some good points."
Yeah, the only thing he spoke confidently about was Daniel Bryan's feet being flat.
Well, your feet are flat. I know.
Oh god. All right. Did you mention that Metal Leak slapped AJ back? Did we miss that part?
I'm not sure. But in case we did. So after AJ Styles slapped Metal Leak then slaps AJ Styles back, like, hey, sir. And then he goes up onto the ropes, as Lucha House Party is known to do, and slams AJ just down, just absolutely down, out of the ring. Not a good start for AJ's future feud, I guess. It doesn't feel. I wouldn't feel confident after that.
Could we see Metalik get the Intercontinental title?
Mind it. Wouldn't mind it at all.
Yeah.
I'd sit back and be like, all right, fine. Oh, I'm starting to sort of come around to AJ Styles as like a character.
Yeah.
However, I wouldn't mind seeing something weird happen finally. Like
Yeah.
something weird that doesn't make sense, but makes enough sense in the moment that I'm like, all right, fine, sure.
That's like the randomness they just need to throw in to make SmackDown just that more interesting. Just have some random guy like Metalik, who's only been doing tag team stuff before this, win the Intercontinental title.
Encourage randomness because that's what got us this fatal 4-way.
True, and it got us to karaoke.
Hmm?
Oh no, okay, no randomness. Everything by the books from now on. AJ's title reign goes for 3 years.
Fine. Until the pandemic's over, at least.
Yeah.
Like, just put a hold on all the titles at this point. It's fine, guys. It's fine.
Wait for a crowd before he loses it.
So after that, we had a Mandy Rose and Otis retrospective. Don't know why, but ultimately, I know why. But apparently, we're going to get the next installation of their love story next week. Which, all right, I guess. I wish Otis would just cash in that Money in the Bank thing at this point.
Yeah, they've probably been waiting for like crowds, or they've been waiting on something behind the scenes before doing that. Maybe Tucker.
Funny, I was gonna say I went from like just wanting to see Mandy and Otis like having a good time together. I was like, oh yeah, I love these like these little tidbits now that they're together. And then Tucker came back, and I was like, I don't really care about Mandy and Otis. I just want to see Otis and Tucky. I don't care. That's his first relationship. That's the first person that matters. I need this love stuff.
They might be waiting on Otis to cash in until, because as Malam said, he wouldn't want to cash in on a good guy like Braun for that title. Maybe now that Braun is defeated by Bray, and Bray, I guess, technically has the title. I don't know how that works. New Braun might have the title, like Evil Braun. He might cash it in now. I don't know. And then maybe we get Otis and Tucky as part of the Wyatt family after they lose.
All right, first of all, stop. I don't want to hear that. Second of all, I completely forgot that Braun was holding a title.
Yeah.
I don't know how I forgot this. Take so many notes, and somehow I still forget. This is why I take notes.
So, because technically Braun, I think he's dead. I think Braun is canonically dead. We have new Braun, evil Braun, mind control Braun, Frankenstein Braun, who...
I don't want Braun to be dead!
I don't know. He, according to all sources outside of WWE, he drowned.
Why is Extreme Rule like that? Like the eye for an eye match wasn't that dark, but the idea of Braun like legitimately drowning.
I don't know.
I'm gone. I'm also canonically dead at this point. I completely forgot that. I don't know how I did that, but I completely forgot that Braun had the title, and now that I remember it, I'm.
Maybe it's just because he technically can't defend it. It's up for grabs. I don't know.
I like having people in the chat, but I don't want them to bring up such good points.
Maybe this is how like Jeff Hardy gets a title.
I don't want Jeff Hardy to have anything. I don't want him to have anything. I'm mad at him still.
Well, speaking of Jeff Hardy, we should move on to our next thing, which isn't Jeff Hardy, but Jeff Hardy's right after that.
Oh yeah, he is, isn't he? All right. Sure. Ugh. It's so tense. I'm sure if that was in slow-mo or my camera was better, you would have seen all the stitches coming out. That was disgusting. Anyways, I'm drinking coffee now.
I'm jealous. I wish I had coffee right now.
Caleb Braxton. Do you want to just come around through the door real quick?
No.
Sip my cold brew? We're
already an hour and a half in.
That's not that bad considering we started the new segment tonight.
True.
We were already like an hour and like 30 minutes ago. That was meant to make a point, but now I'm realizing that's just how numbers work. Anyways, let me just gonna dive into this one. So we had Caleb Braxton interviewing Shinsuke and Cesaro. Caleb Braxton, by the way, so I'm sure people know this if they're involved and like just enough. You don't really have to be that involved in this to know. Caleb Braxton had coronavirus twice now. And she received a lot of vitriol, if you will, from people online after she announced that she had coronavirus for a second time. Which, I'm sure had nothing to do with the fact that WWE didn't want people wearing masks for a while and then tried to bring in friends and family for viewings and stuff like that. I'm sure it had nothing to do with any of that or any of like the lax safety precautions that they took. I'm sure it had nothing to do with that. And she finally is back. And tonight she just looked tired. She did not look like she wanted to be there whatsoever while she was interviewing these two guys. Which is not something I feel like we're used to seeing. Normally they all seem very like perky and bright. But she looked not interested. We got to hear Shinsuke talk for a little while. Basically, they were just gloating about their medals. Very happy that they have them. And that they wish that they could have put Big E through a table as well. And I'm kind of glad they didn't because I need to see at least one of my New Day boys.
Yeah.
One.
Xavier Woods comes back with like a cane to wrestle.
Just like, I'm here, boys. Let me get in there. So after that, they did their normal announcing of next week's fights, which is, as we mentioned prior, just so I can recap this. AJ versus Grand Metalik for the Intercontinental Championship. Nikki versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title. And Lacey versus Naomi for Respect.
Which, good to have a women's storyline without a title on the line. Raw has been doing it with Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio without a title this whole time. So, they can do it. SmackDown can do it too.
Not hard. So after those announcements, we had the long-awaited by now, I think. Jeff Hardy, Sheamus, our fight featuring Thieves. Thieves, the bartender's there. Thank the Lord.
Can I just say, this fight, comparing two cinematic fights, was so much better than the Swamp fight. My God.
My God, yeah. First of all, I'm going to start this off. I'm going to start my recap off real quick with me just saying, I'm still not convinced that Sheamus was the one that framed Jeff Hardy.
Oh no, definitely not. It's Sami Zayn.
Also, not pleased with the fact that like SmackDown was like, oh, well, we had a hacker character that would reveal everyone's secrets, but now we can't because it was supposed to be Mustafa Ali, and now he's gone. He's on Raw. It's like no one ever saw the hacker's face or heard their voice. So you could literally make it anyone.
It could be Naomi.
And then they could it could be Sonya. Sonya hasn't been around.
True.
And frankly, if I were a writer at SmackDown, I'd just be like, hey, let's write a little bit for the hacker so that the hacker can be like, blah, blah, blah. Here's some footage of the actual car accident as it happened. And we can see Elias, who's broken, being hit by Jeff Hardy's car. Then we see Sami Zayn running away.
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe they're just holding out on that big reveal until Sami Zayn is comfortable coming back to WWE and doesn't hate everyone at WWE for forcing him to leave the title. That being said,
I mean, it makes sense why the title was given up.
But regardless, all I'm saying is that I don't believe that Sheamus did it.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe that Sheamus did it. There's nothing in the world that will make me believe that he did it, and no one can change my mind.
It was so out of character. Like, if it was him, it would make sense for Sami because, like, his wrestlers were on the line. It was his title.
And it was his title.
Yeah, his title and Cesaro and Shinsuke were in the fight. Were in the tournament.
Taking out Jeff Hardy took out a viable opponent so that it gave Shinsuke and Cesaro a better chance at winning the opportunity to fight for the title. It's, oh my god, you know what? Can't get into this. We'll never finish the podcast. I just don't believe it was Sheamus.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't. But let's move on to the actual fight.
So, open the scene. Bar. An Irish bar, if you will. A pub. Jeeves is the bartender there because Jeeves can only bartend. He has nothing else going on for him. He's not Sheamus's personal bartender.
We saw him do a little more than bartend. Oh, okay. We saw him only bartend. Only bartend.
Only bartend.
Wipe the counter and bartend.
He cleaned one glass for like a solid 5 minutes. And Danilo, lovely little referee man, was there. Sheamus comes in wearing a white tank top and suspenders, looking like an absolute goofball of a man. Someone who definitely had way too much say in the costume of his character.
That wasn't a costume. That's just what he wore to work.
He's like, this is how I'm going to dress up today. And he walked in, he's like, yep.
The costume guy was just like, yeah, that works. Let's do it.
He's like, yeah, you look like a tool. That's fine. So Jeff comes in and he's like, hey, have you guys seen Jeff yet? Because, you know, the referee is there, the bartender's there, no one else is there because it's a pandemic and no one can go into a bar at this point. It's like, have you seen Jeff yet? And they're like, no, we haven't seen him yet. Sheamus is like, all right, fine, I'm gonna have a drink. And Jeff comes out of the back.
He's been there for like an hour, probably.
I guess he was there before Jeeves started his shift and Danilo came in for a drink. So Jeff has been there. Jeff was there for a while. He comes out from the back.
He was probably in the bathroom. The bathrooms were back there.
True. Actually, he didn't want to do another pee test. He got it all out.
Yeah.
But also he comes out with like the most awkward, yo, I'm here.
Look, okay, he's a wrestler. He's not an actor.
It's entertainment wrestling. Should have some chops. So he sits down next to Sheamus, and they're talking, and it kind of felt like that was maybe where this whole fight was going, just a nice long talk between two men. It wasn't. Sheamus told Jeeves to stay clear of Jeff because he's wild card, basically, and I was like, yeah, I guess Sheamus wasn't really present for the time that Jeff Hardy swan dived into Jeeves, was he?
No, he wasn't.
So basically, as one would have expected, Jeff throws a drink in Sheamus's face. Shay slams Jeff into the bar and just begins wailing on the man. Jeff finally gets up, dives onto Sheamus. Sheamus slams Jeff into a brick wall, which I've bumped into brick walls before and been like, ow, hurt. I can't imagine being slammed into a brick wall, even if it's like faux wrestling moves, you know? They end up down the hall, and Jeff kind of has the upper leg. He's wailing into Sheamus, throwing him against the walls, slamming him into like the different kegs that are like mounted on the walls. Sheamus ends up picking up an empty metal keg and hitting Jeff with it. And then we were in the bathroom, where Sheamus waterboarded Jeff in a urinal.
As
then
you do.
Jeff threw Sheamus into... Yeah, of course. I mean, 101. Rules are for waterboarding. Jeff throws Sheamus into a toilet. And then Jeff crawls away. Suddenly he's gone. Until a door opens up behind Sheamus. And it's Jeff with a ladder. And he hits Jeff with the ladder. And it's like, whoa.
Ladder match.
Yeah, honestly, it was like a little ladder match for a minute. Until Sheamus threw Jeff into a drum set. And then he goes for the brogue kick. And it doesn't work because, of course it doesn't work. If you're from the UK, your finishing move is a kick. It doesn't work the first time. It never does. I can tell you that now. It's never going to work the first time.
It worked on the drum,
We've
though.
learned that with Drew. It did work on the drum. If you were a drum and you were fighting an Irish or Scottish wrestler, it might be out of luck. However, there's not been a single man from the UK that fights in WWE that I've seen thus far that successfully completed their finishing move the first time. We're talking about Finn's coup de grace, we're talking about the brogue kick, and we're talking about the Claymore kick. None of them worked the first time.
Well, unless it's during a promo.
Unless it's during a promo, yes. Well, to be fair, Drew did a Claymore kick during a promo, and it didn't work because Dolph got out of the way.
He did it on MVP once.
So. Stop. So Jeff does a stunner on Sheamus and then gets up on the ladder. Starts climbing up on this ladder that he has set up for Sheamus. And who comes to Sheamus's rescue? Other than the man we all love and adore, the next WWE superstar, Jeeves. Out of nowhere.
He was out for blood.
Jeeves said, "You hurt me last time. I just wanted to serve you a drink. No one told me what I was getting into." So Jeeves gets Jeff down from that ladder. Jeff sends Jeeves through a table, thus ruining Jeeves' wrestling career.
Oh,
But giving
Jeeves.
Sheamus a chance to get back up. I know. Rest in peace, Jeeves. You're the OG. Yo. Jeeves.
When do we get Leon Ruff versus Jeeves? The battle between enhancement talents.
Oh my god. Stop. That's what we need. Oh my god. So as Jeff is fighting Jeeves, Sheamus says, "Hey, that's my private bartender," and slams a chair into Jeff's back. This ultimately puts Jeff out. Sheamus says, "Oh, this is the perfect time for a beer." Goes and gets a beer. The Guinness in about 3 minutes flat, which even I can't do. I can drink with the best of them. The music like kind of betrayed everything that was happening because the music was like starting to rise, and I was like, he's just drinking a beer, so really stressful. Except the music tells me it is. And prior to this, Sheamus had put his hat that he walked in on top of Jeff's face after he knocked him out. The hat comes off his face, and now his face is painted. And he has dum-dum contacts in. Look like white mesh. He's a little rave boy. And it almost felt like Jeff became the Fiend, I guess.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Jeff's like, I have so much energy. And goes, attacks Sheamus, knocks him out, and gets up on the ladder, swan dives onto Sheamus. Mind you, the floor of this bar was definitely poured concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff has had severe back issues because of the way that he does his wrestling moves, and also has had problems with painkillers in the past. So, like, God forbid he screwed that back up again, he wouldn't be able to do anything about it outside of like getting the surgery and just being like, well, I've got to suffer in pain for a couple months until this is healed because he can't take anything for it. Anyways, Jeff Hardy said, who cares? It's the WWE. I'm going to just make my money now. Swan dives onto Sheamus, pins him, wins. The contacts are gone suddenly. He blinks and they're gone.
The power ended.
Yeah, exactly. We all knew that Hardy was going to win. Like, there wasn't a question in my mind going into this. I was like, obviously he's going to win. It's a bar. It makes sense. He's got to win. But also, I just don't understand what happened.
Fitness trainer said that Jeff's supernatural type thing is meant to be a foil to the Fiend at some point. But how about this? It's a foil to Pretty Ricky. You good?
Our housemate has just gone to the bathroom and he shut the door and it scared the actual bejeebers out of me. Sorry.
But
continue.
Jeff Hardy's frog paint makeup thing against Pretty Ricky. That's the real matchup we need. SummerSlam.
Might be the matchup we need. It might be the matchup we need. However, the match we might actually get is what Micah said, which would actually be kind of interesting. If we were to see like a Bray Wyatt Jeff Hardy matchup, and all of a sudden it's like Fiend. He's like, you're just Jeff Hardy. I can beat you. Then Jeff Hardy's like, painted face. Like, joke's on you, fool. I can also paint my face. I love that. Be down for that.
Yeah.
I think Pretty Ricky has other problems.
Yeah, like getting his title back.
Yeah, like Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah.
Step 1.
Hi.
So we've reached the end of Smackdown.
Yes, we have.
Would you like to discuss the promo of the night?
No. Thanks for watching, everybody. Okay. See you on Monday.
Let's go home.
Alright, yeah. Let's talk about our promo of the night. I'm going to go one by one. Very little detail. So we got Jeff Hardy promo in the very beginning. Kind of a foreshadowing. Just like last week. Then we had Sasha Banks and Bayley talking in the ring. Alexa and Nikki show up. Yada, yada, yada. Then we had a promo between Nikki and Alexa, which is very emotional. Very on par with last week's promo that they had. Then we had Firefly Funhouse, which was... Normally, I love Firefly Funhouse, but they didn't give us enough details on this to kind of explain what happened prior. Then we had the Miz and Morrison promo, which is really funny, and Miz TV with Naomi, which was fantastic. You had a New Day promo, which was very emotional because Kofi is leaving for 6 weeks. Then you had a recap with Otis and Mandy, which is just same stuff we've already seen. And then you had an interview with Cesaro and Shinsuke, which is just a boring little interview. It was a good day for promos, I gotta be honest. Really good day. I wish we had gotten a better Firefly... Let me try that again. I wish we had a better Firefly Funhouse. But I think my pick here goes to Miz TV with Naomi. I think it also really helped how they had the Seth Rollins puking stars. I think that really elevated it. Plus, you had Naomi giving, as Milam just said, giving a very passionate performance. And Miz and Morrison kind of not playing full heel, but kind of just egging her on as TV hosts would. And then the appearance by Lacey that, thank God, didn't devolve into a full fight tonight. I'm glad we just got a little bit of a feud between the two. Very nice to see. And overall, I think that was the best promo we got.
So in light of this, Lacey Evans tweeted, Naomi deserves better, attacking classy, sophisticated women from behind while they are most vulnerable. The only thing she deserves is another good old-fashioned whooping.
She goes in on those kayfabes.
Trinity responded, you mean like you attacked me from behind over karaoke with like the little like emoji? And R-Truth retweeted Naomi's tweet saying, you did attack her from behind at Lacey Evans. And I was like, you R-Truth. Cross-brand.
This is the crossover episode we need.
But yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think that the Miz TV not only kind of gave light to like a serious thing that was happening outside of SmackDown, it gave Naomi a platform to kind of talk, which I think she sort of needed after everything that happened. And it not only like it kept a comfortable position with like being funny, but also at the same time being serious on Naomi's end.
Yeah.
I liked that a lot. I think that did a lot for her character. And I'm really hoping that this is the start of seeing some more concentrated writing for the women's singles division of SmackDown. I think that that's what we need to see a lot more, and I don't think we're seeing it enough. And I think that tonight we definitely got a little more than I personally expected from that section of the brand.
Yeah, I wholly agree. Now fighter.
I was gonna introduce it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forget I said anything.
So Mark, now do you want to talk about our fighter of the night?
Yes, I would love to talk about our fighter of the night. Now moving on to our fighter of the night section. So fight by fight, we only had 4 fights today, which is kind of weird.
I feel like we only ever have 3, so I feel like 4 is a lot.
We normally have like 6, I think. Because
Raw.
NXT yesterday, we had 6 fights. Sure. Or not yesterday, on Wednesday. Last SmackDown, we had 5 fights. So, I guess it's kind of in the same ballpark. So, we started off Alexa versus Nikki. Better Alexa than we've seen so far. Like, really, really good performance on her end. Nikki, though, gave us, in my opinion, a better performance. Not better than Extreme Rules Nikki, but she gave us a very passionate performance that kind of did more for her character than Extreme Rules did. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. And then we move on to Matt Riddle versus Tony Nese. I mean, Matt Riddle was good as he can be against enhancement talent. It's like it would be like giving it to Sheamus after his whole enhancement talent phase when he only went up against enhancement talent. But then you had the Fatal 4-Way, which was a display of great wrestling from 3 of the wrestlers. And this is where I'm torn just on the pick here of this fight. Not even overall, but just for this fight. Because he had Shorty G coming out better than we've ever seen him recently. I know I said ever and recently, but recently is what I want to emphasize. He just went all out today. This is a much different Shorty G than when he was against Mojo Rawley. I don't remember the specific moves he did besides like was it the arm throw or something? What's it called? the arm drag.
Yeah, look at my spreadsheet. Moves.
And how he had that back and forth of pins with Drew. He was fantastic today. But also, so was Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado. But I would edge it towards Lince Dorado here in between the two luchas.
Little cat.
Metalik was absent for a lot of the fight. His great moment wasn't until the end when he was walking on the ropes. But Lince had the back-to-back moonsaults and then the high-flying bird, the pouncing cat, as you could call it, because he's got the cat ears, which it's tough because Lince had a lot of great moments. Shorty also had a lot of great moments. But in terms of the overall fight, I think I want to give it to, for this fight at the very least, for this fight, I want to give it to Shorty G. Because his overall impact over the course of the whole fight was a lot greater than Lince. Lince had on and off moments. He was absent for a little bit. Shorty G was like absent once and then came in and just like marathon through everything, fighting every opponent in the ring. It was I want to see more of him now. I would love to see a match between him and Big E, especially after how they were kind of teamed up against Mojo Rawley. I feel like that would be a really interesting fight. And then you had Sheamus versus Jeff, which was an overall impressive fight in terms of individual performance. I think the more impressive... it's hard to say, because Jeff had some moments. Sheamus, I think, had just a little bit more moments than Jeff. Sheamus showed off his physical strength. Jeff didn't really get so much a chance to show off his acrobatics. He had a fall onto Sheamus at the very end. He had I forget what the word is, but he flopped onto Sheamus at one point. But in terms of the whole grand scheme of the fight, I think Sheamus was the one who was more impressive. Plus the whole like makeup reveal, the whole face paint reveal was so dumb. It didn't work in Jeff Hardy's favor. Plus, even before the fight, when they were doing the whole interaction, I think Sheamus put on a better performance than Jeff Hardy did. Mostly because Sheamus actually does have acting experience. I don't think Jeff Hardy has any. So for that fight, it's Sheamus. But overall, I don't think it's even a question. Shorty G is my pick for Fighter of the Night. It's kind of a toss-up between him and Lince Dorado, but I gotta go with Shorty because he was in the fight for longer. He had more to do in the fight. So
it's funny because I was about to say, and I want to make a note that after we finish this section, I just want to mention one tweet that I just saw. I had to hold back my laughter, and it made me look like I was crying, and now I feel like my eyes just look bloodshot. So I don't know. It's funny because I was gonna say I'm torn between Shorty G and Lince.
Just like how I was.
Lince, yeah. Luckily, you kind of came to a conclusion. I think I'm still having trouble because Lince did show off a lot of skill. I think it's always impressive when we haven't seen a team in a couple of weeks. But Shorty G did kind of pull a Fandango where it's like he took on like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Excessively. Oh.
I'm gonna reiterate what I said. Lince Dorado when he had his moments, they were fantastic moments, some of the best we've ever seen of Lince. But his moments were few and far between. Meanwhile, Shorty was just in there constantly delivering.
Looking back at my notes, now that I've been reminded of the really impressive counter to Metalik like lethal flying dropkick from like the third rope, like combated that with like his own dropkick almost. Because I saw that, because I'm remembering that now, I'm also remembering the arm drag. I think I'm gonna have to go with that. I'm gonna have to go with G. Don't like Shorty G that much, but I think I'm gonna have to go with him.
After today, I really want to see more of him. He looks like he can become like a nice mix between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. Especially how he
Also love it.
What was that?
Go on.
Especially how he was countering both a technical wrestler like Drew Gulak and a very acrobatic wrestlers in Lucha House Party. He managed to counter both of them. I would have loved to see him win over Grand Metalik, but I think throwing in one of the Lucha House Party for that title makes it a lot more interesting and kind of shakes up SmackDown a little bit.
I think the thing that like convinces me the most that I need to choose Shorty G for this is that I have to keep reminding myself that he didn't win the match.
Yeah. It's hard to pick someone who didn't win.
Yeah. I keep thinking that he did win though, and my brain like isn't connecting with it.
Yeah.
For some reason. And I think it's just because while Lucha House Party was really good tonight, both of them, both between Lince and Metalik, they're both really impressive. It was just G was able to take on everyone and like also kind of form like a very, very, very brief like alliance with Gulak for like one move.
Yeah.
That was enough for me. Give him that. Go on.
Is just something really short. I really hope they build a storyline around Shorty G at some point.
I hope that SmackDown builds a storyline around
anyone.
Literally anyone. Besides Otis and Mandy.
Aww.
I'll take one person. Just one person. That's all I need right now.
Yeah. That's fair.
So the tweet that I saw, by the way, before we move on to the fight of the night. It got worse as I opened it up.
Oh no.
Oni Lorcan in all caps, as always, tweeted, "I don't get in bar fights anymore, I promised my mom." Kenny Burch, his old tag team partner, also in all caps, tweeted in response, "That's not what happened last night."
What?
I don't know what it is about Oni Lorcan tweeting in all caps. He could say like the most serious thing in the world. He could say, "I just ate whatever." When it's in all caps and it's under his name, I'm just like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Especially after
So I saw that while you were.
Especially after the tweet about Robert Stone, how he was drinking from the pond and not looking him in the eye. Why is Oni Lorcan like this? He's not like this in the ring at all.
He's so scary.
He is. He's taking on Timothy Thatcher.
And I saw the tweet while you were running through the fighters. And like I had to hold my laughter back, and I felt my eyes watering. I was like, "Oh, it looks like I'm crying because Mark's talking about like the wrestlers tonight." I was like, "Oh no!" Oh, because like I like to look through my Twitter as you go through the wrestlers and the fights of the night and stuff like that, because sometimes people will post news. There'll be like new developments, like about different matches or like reactions that I find interesting to like go into when we close out. So I use that as my time to like kind of go through the Pinfall Twitter feed.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that and I was like, all right, sure. Anyways, do you want to talk about the fight of the night?
I would love to talk about fight of the night. Thank you, Liz. So this one's a little tough, but I think you're just gonna. Alright, I'll just let you have your moment. I'll continue. This one's a little tough because there were a lot of good fights today. But I think I already know what my pick is gonna be. But let me run through one by one. So you had Alexa versus Nikki, which was a really good fight. Normally I would have this because Alexa did better than she has in a long time, and Nikki showed a lot more of her character than she normally does. But there was the reason behind that fight didn't make sense at all. Alexa could have just let Nikki win. There was no reason for her to try and fight because the challenge wasn't hers. It wasn't her opportunity to get the title. That wasn't mentioned at all at any point. And it very much felt like they were kind of just fighting for the entertainment of Bayley and Sasha, which felt very gross.
Yeah. I probably should have made that point earlier, but I know what you were talking about. It almost felt like a dog fight in a weird way. Just to put like these two things like together.
It felt like two rich people watching two homeless people fight.
Yeah. Are you thinking of the same It's Always Sunny episode, or?
I was thinking of The Most Dangerous Game, kind of. I don't know why that was the one that popped into my head, but it was. But then you had Matt Riddle versus Tony Nese, which, I mean, it was an enhancement fight. Poor Tony Nese, he deserved better. But there's nothing to work on here. I am really excited to see Matt Riddle versus Corbin at some point, though. That's really what I want to get from this. And then you had the Fatal 4-Way, which was a very exciting match. Really opened the doors to a new storyline for Lucha House Party and kind of a shakeup in who it challenges for titles. It's nice to see a member of a tag team go for a singles title. I wish we'd gotten a little more of Drew Gulak. I wish we'd gotten a little more from him. But I think overall that fight was great. You had Shorty G, Metalik, and Dorado all performing. And it makes me want more out of everyone in terms of storyline. I'm excited to see where they take it from here. And then lastly, we have Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy bar fight, which was great. It was fantastic. Up until the ending when they had that stupid reveal of the face paint. I think that really botched the ending. I wanted that fight to be great, and it was. The fight itself was fantastic. They used the environment around them. They moved locations a couple times. It was a great fight. And it started with a great intro, too. But the ending really ruins it for me. So, with that said, I think I got to give it to the Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental opportunity. Were you going to give it to the bar fight?
It's not so much that I was going to give it to the bar fight, rather than I really, really wanted the bar fight to be worth giving it to.
Yeah,
Yes.
that makes sense.
It was so hyped up, to the point where I kind of thought that it was going to happen at Extreme Rules, and it never did.
Yeah. I just said
I thought
yeah,
you said
in
something.
agreement.
Oh, I thought you said ooh. Um, but I mean, well, this is also a King Corbin podcast. This is originally the last 20 some odd years in my head, the Seamus podcast. I love Seamus so much. I really do. I love everything that he does somewhat consistently. It's very little that that man can do that makes me feel like meh. I mean, he's been making fun of a man's addictions. I'm still just like, famous, yay! So it's hard for me to not want to choose it because I really want to choose it, but it was it wasn't even Seamus's fault that it was weird. It was just the maybe if this wasn't like hot on the heels of the swamp fight, it wouldn't be as weird.
I think that makes it better, though. I think comparing it to the swamp fight, we see it in a better light because it's better lit, mostly.
I really wanted it to be the Sheamus and Jeff Hardy Wire fight, but I can't give it to it because the ending was so just out of left field, just not didn't make sense to me. It felt like they went from being like, oh, Jeff Hardy's like this like brave guy and like he paints his face before the match and like he comes out and then his makeup gets all smeared and it's kind of sad. If he's wearing green face paint, then like his makeup you can see it on the mat as like the match goes on. But all of a sudden be like a weird superpower,
Yeah,
and like it wouldn't even be that weird. Like it wouldn't have even been that weird if they hadn't like changed the music. Like if the music didn't like suddenly fade out the moment like Sheamus noticed his face was painted. Like, it'd be one thing if like, oh, all of a sudden like almost like in a symbolic way, face paint is there and it's Jeff Hardy like ready to fight. But no, the music like stopped almost as if like this was like a supernatural occurrence, and I was like,
yeah.
oh, something.
It makes me think like whenever he starts a match with the face paint on, is he in like superpower mode or something, or is it only when the contacts are in? And it's one thing like if they had edited in glowing eyes, they would have made it a lot better because they could have played off a superpower. But no, it's just the contacts. Mom said maybe there was something in that urinal, which maybe there was. Honestly,
He was choking for like a little while, so maybe swallowed some toilet water. Or maybe that's what happens like when you take a bite of like little like urinal like the cakes that they put in there. Maybe that's what happens.
Maybe.
I wouldn't know. I'm a lady. We don't have those. But I'm not going to beat around the bush anymore. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to give it to Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross just because the story writing of that fight was so strange.
The fighting itself was really good.
The fight was great, but the added component of the writing around it was weird.
Yeah.
I have to give it to the Fatal 4-Way. There's nothing else that really makes sense tonight. We had the Fatal 4-Way, and we had
Matt Riddle.
Yeah, and that was just not worth my time to talk about. Yeah, I think the only thing that really did any service to the story, it didn't even like the Fatal. I'm not gonna pretend that the Fatal 4-Way was like a nice new chapter in the AJ Styles like trilogy or anything. I mean, if anything, story-wise, the bar fight made more sense, but it's like you're writing the script to a marriage story, and suddenly you like stick in half the plot of like
the Avengers
encounters of the fourth kind or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Steven Spielberg. But yeah, also the Avengers. It doesn't matter. Yes. Adding that just ruined it. It made it so weird for me. At the very least, with the Fatal 4-Way, we got some really awesome fighting. And we got to see some people that we don't normally see doing stuff that was really interesting. And at this point, I guess that's all I can ask for. It feels like I can either get cool story or good fighting.
And
I got good fighting for a couple of them and just some weird shit for the rest of it.
And not to say that this doesn't have any story to it, because we got to see a lot of AJ Styles' character during the match and after the match. And this opens the doors for a Lucha House Party to have their own story, as well as Shorty G. Drew Gulak already has a story, so I'm not too worried about that. Yeah, until Daniel Bryan comes back. But I'm excited. I'm really excited to see where they take Lucha House Party. Even if they break up and it's just Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado now, I don't think they'll break up because they're one of the few tag teams right now. But I'm so excited for their future. Same with Shorty G. So are we in agreement? The Fatal 4-Way is the fight of the night.
I feel like every SmackDown I always have to like sacrifice half of my values to choose the fight of the night. Yes. I've sacrificed the half of my values that prioritize Sheamus. Fatal 4-Way.
Not to say that the Sheamus Jeff Hardy bar fight was bad.
No, it wasn't. It was a great fight.
Yeah.
If it weren't for the last 3 minutes of it, it would have been a great fight.
They could have just ended with like Sheamus has Jeff Hardy down on the ground, chugs a beer and walks out, winner. That would have been fine, because that would open the gate for another fight like that.
Or even so, it could have been Sheamus chugs that beer, all of a sudden Jeff Hardy's stirring after Sheamus thinks that he's like murdered him. And then Jeff Hardy's like, just kidding, bitch. Now, swan dive.
Mm-hmm.
Game over. Did not look called it. We're happy. We all go home. Jeff Hardy won. The story is the same as it was tonight. Didn't need the face paint.
Fitness trainer just mentioned, worst part of the bar fight was human Jeff Hardy wasn't good enough to beat Sheamus and prove he could beat his addiction. It's very true. He had to have superpowers. I mean, maybe it's like perfect Jeff Hardy that can beat his addiction, but
if perfect Jeff Hardy is face painted Jeff Hardy, then I've got bigger issues.
But like, Jeff Hardy himself couldn't beat his addiction. What if it was like he started face painted, had all of his face paint like get washed off, and then
it's Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, it's just Jeff. Just Jeff.
Instead of his, like, he changes his name on SmackDown from Jeff Hardy to just Jeff.
Jeff.
That's that is an amazing point, Mike. Thank you. Didn't even think about it, and now that I have, I just want to know how much further SmackDown can go to discredit Jeff Hardy's story.
They just really hate Jeff Hardy. They really do.
Jeff Hardy's the new Elias.
Oh, Elias is still dead.
Elias is going to be dead for at least, like, I think 4 more months.
No. Oh, God.
In peace, Elias. Anywho, now that we've all thought about it that way, damn it. Oh, yeah, no, like, if Jeff had just come up, like, into the bar with, like, his face painted, and then it wore away, and that's when, like, all of a sudden he was like, I'm Jeff Hardy, and I can beat you one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
No, he needed that extra alter ego. Damn.
That's like
Daniel.
That's like the opposite of like the Spider-Man thing, where like Spider-Man with his suit on is like super strong, but he takes off the mask and he's just like a weakling. That's not how it works. I think there's even a quote in like Spider-Man Homecoming about it, about how if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it. Like, Jeff Hardy just did the opposite of that. Jeff Hardy was like, I need the face paint. I need the contacts. Without it, I am an addict.
Like My Strange Addiction, except much weirder. Alright. Well, we've come this far.
No.
You run it back, baby?
Yes. Promo of the night? Ms. T. Oh wait, I want to mention at one point when they started off the show. They started off the whole show with Jeff Hardy saying, "My name is Jeff Hardy, and I am an addict."
I forgot to mention that.
That was the worst way to start the show. That was so weird.
It was minute 1, line 1. Hi, I'm Jeff Hardy, and I'm an addict.
It was so bad. Oh god, I feel so bad for Jeff Hardy. Oh my god.
Really, Vince McMahon just sits in his mansion somewhere, and is just like he watches Jeff Hardy like own up to all of his failures, and he's just like, oh yeah, so good.
He also texts the writers like, "Hey, make him call himself an addict once more."
One more time. And also, if I could just get Sheamus saying, "You're nothing but a junkie," like 5 more times in one episode, yeah, that'll be enough. Thank you. Okay, great. He said that like 14 times tonight.
Yeah.
I feel like Sheamus is like, sounds really good with my accent. This is great. Awesome. A lot of people love this.
Well, to recap, promo of the night, Ms. TV featuring Naomi. Fighter of the night, Shorty G. Fight of the night, Drew Gulak versus Shorty G versus Grand Metalik versus Lince Dorado for a chance to battle AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship.
I just want to say, after all of the crap I gave Shorty G, when he first came back, Smackdown, I never thought that I'd reach a position where I had to choose him for Fighter of the Night.
I mean, you don't have to do anything.
I don't have to do anything, but SmackDown forced me into this spot. Because they ruined several people that I really like. So. I just sit here and vibe.
Can't wait to get Daniel Bryan back.
Oh. We're never getting him back. Daniel Bryan wants nothing to do with wrestling anymore.
Oh. Well.
Sorry.
Anyway, follow the stream if you enjoyed. Lets us know we're doing a really good job. And if you think we're not, we have a little suggestion box down below. You could tell us what we're doing wrong. And we'll consider it. If what we're doing
wrong is I'm not funny, then I don't want to hear it. Don't say anything.
If you're saying Liz needs to smile more, just click that X at the top of the window. And follow us on Twitter at the Pinfall Cast. We tweet whenever we go live. We tweet out our Fighter of the Night, our Fight of the Night, and we talk about some wrestling news. We throw on some wrestling memes too. Liz is a meme lord when it comes to wrestling memes.
I'm the local meme generator over here.
She had a great one about tonight's Smackdown.
Yeah, I'm proud of it still. Don't care if none of y'all are.
And what else? Follow our personal Twitters. Mine is at the Mark MRC Cameron. And follow Liz at Eliza Elaine 23.
I post a lot of pictures of the cat.
Yes.
There's a kitten down here.
Our little demon cat that likes to suplex us in the middle of the night.
Yes, I made a funny tweet about my cat last night too. If you follow me, you'll see it. Also, if you don't follow me, you'll see it. I don't have a private Twitter.
I tweet a lot of political stuff and movie stuff. I have been tweeting political stuff recently.
Oh, you're getting edgy over here.
And follow my personal Twitch. I stream a combination of wrestling and Pokemon, not separately, together. Me and a team, along with Liz, are doing a special project where we combine the foundations of wrestling with Pokemon to make the Universal Pokemon Federation. If you're into Pokemon, you're into wrestling, definitely something to check out. That's twitch.tv/MarkMarc Cameron. And I believe that's... and check us... If you want to watch our previous episodes of the Pinfall Podcast, you can check out us on YouTube. youtube.com/the Pinfall Podcast. If that's still how YouTube URLs work, I don't think it is, so just look up the Pinfall Podcast. Yes, shout out to Ninetales once more. And I think that's all. I think that's it.
Can I bring us out? Can I bring us out here?
Yes, you can bring us out.
Okay, so, we will be gone for the rest of the weekend. On Monday, we will be back for a riveting, probably, episode of Raw. Raw is literally never not enjoyable. I've been doing so good. What happened? What happened to Smackdown? I don't know.
The pandemic.
Yeah, it's almost like the pandemic's not happening at Raw.
True.
We will be back on Monday, probably around 11:15-ish, after Raw ends, so that we can talk to all about wrestling. As you do. A little bit of wrestling. I don't know if there's anything super exciting happening next Monday as far as Raw's concerned. I feel like there is, but I feel like I've completely overlooked it.
There's Bailey, or no, there's Sasha versus Asuka.
Sasha versus Asuka, and something pertaining to Drew and Dolph is happening.
Drew's picking his stipulation, even though he said he wasn't going to tell Dolph until the moment before the bell rings.
Yeah, they said, no, Drew, you don't get that luxury, actually. Only Dolph does. Yeah, thank you so much to both, I don't want to say this wrong, Malam BC, right?
Yeah,
Malam BC?
You got it.
You might be saying that totally wrong. You could have probably maybe it's Mila MBC. If that is the case, tell us. But thank you to you. Thank you to Mike or Fitness Trainer. We really appreciate having you guys in the chat. Also, especially because like you sometimes like help us clarify things, and that's really nice. And because sometimes we don't know what the hell we're talking about.
And shout out to I'm Derp Gaming for coming only because they thought I was cute. Hell yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll just sit over here. I'm a potato, I guess. That's fine. I do a full face of makeup for this podcast. He does nothing. Anyways, yes, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you to everyone who has commented, whether it's to fuel Mark's ego or to help us out, or provide information or ask questions. Really appreciate everyone who watches the stream, even if it's only for a couple of minutes, especially on Fridays, because SmackDown was a really hard one for us to get through because it hasn't been that great recently. I personally, if you're new to this, I would personally say really check out Raw and NXT streams. My cat is licking my foot. Raw and NXT streams are a little better, I think, because SmackDown's a little
rocky.
But yeah, thank you to everyone who's been streaming
alongside us.
Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Thank you to everyone who's interacted with us. We really hope that we can keep you around for future episodes. And please, if there's anything that you want to say to us as far as like suggestions or like you want to see or whatever, literally anything, just let us know. You can contact us on basically any social media platform.
And we literally have a suggestion box down below.
Yes, we also have a suggestion box. I don't know how Twitch works. If you're like me and you just like using social media and the message, like because like there's a little envelope on Twitter that you press and then you send a message. It's easy. Please let us know because we want to make it as enjoyable for everyone else as we can, because we live in the same apartment, so we could actually do this face to face. So we really appreciate having people that like will watch us do this. So it's not like we could have just done this on our futon.
Yeah.
A couple hours ago.
Oh, that's it? Are you done?
I don't know what to say.
Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody.
I could literally say thank you for watching 14 more times in 14 different ways. But we really appreciate everyone. Thank you so much.
Tune in on Monday.
It'll be an even better stream than today. So if you thought today was good, I think Monday is fabulous.
See you then.